In terms of what you need, most of you, a lot of you take or practice yoga and movement with me on Zoom. And so you have a lot of stuff at home, and some of you may not. Um, we definitely will be probably needing some blankets or something that you can support yourself with. A chair is always helpful. And then we definitely will use some sort of strap, whether it's a yoga strap or a big towel, or in some cases, people have these stretchy Dynabands. And that's actually somewhat nice for some of the shoulder work that I thought that we would do. So what I'd like you to do now is get into a seat that is comfortable for you to sit in, and know that I'm not expecting you to sit any certain way. So you should find a way of sitting that works well for you and be willing to change that as you need to. And even if it means lying down, that's fine. And as you get into your seat, I'd like to welcome you and just tell you how pleased I am that you are here for yourself, and that you are here for your community, and that we are here for one another. If it feels appropriate for you, I want you to close your eyes. And just notice what you feel, what you experience when you close your eyes. And I think what meditation asks, or let's just say mindfulness asks of me, is to note, to notice, not to have an empty mind, but to note, to notice, to acknowledge, to feel, to experience. And then, of course, that practice of detaching, which doesn't mean I don't feel something or experience something, but in the simple noting of that, tension in the jaw, humming around my solar plexus, thoughts arising. By simply noting, I'm able to move into then the next breath. There is not a right way to navigate this. It's simply a practice of being with what is, noticing, and perhaps coming back to the breath. Whatever arises is there. I note, I come back to the breath. May we feel safe. May we find contentment. May we be free from suffering. And may we be filled with loving kindness. May we be safe. May we move towards contentment. May we be free from suffering. And may we be filled with loving kindness. Bring the palms of your hands together at the heart if you're comfortable with that. Bow the head forward, bringing mind and heart closer together. Take a moment with the head bent forward and neck flexion. Notice what you feel and experience physically between the shoulder blades, just below the shoulder blades across the back ribs, across the tops of your shoulders, through the back of your neck, across your brow and around your eyes. Inhaling, raise and lift your head up. Find neutral in your neck. So bring the top of your throat back and up a little bit. And feel that the base of your skull is lengthening quietly but steadily upwards from your shoulders. Releasing the hands. Gently open your eyes. All right. So I'm sitting cross-legged. I'm going to change the other leg in front. And if you're not sitting cross-legged, you could sit in a different position. So change your seat. You could also sit up on a chair. Okay. So we're all in our own little boxes. So unless you're in a living room with your partner or your spouse, you don't have to worry about how anybody sees you. And particularly your dogs and cats won't care. We're going to open our mouths as wide as we can and stick our tongue out as far as we can. Ready, go. And then relax that. Do it again. Open your mouth as wide as you can. Stick your tongue out as far as you can. And then relax that. If you got one more in you, you could even make a sound. And then relax that. Good. Drop your chin down to the top of your throat. Don't force this. Yeah. And then imagine your chin has a little marking pen on it. And you're going to take your chin on the collarbone or along the length of the collarbone, the curve of the collarbone, over to one side. It doesn't matter which side you go to. So your eyes will be, because your chin is down at the top of the collarbone there next to your shoulder, your eyes will be looking down your arm. And then bring your chin back down to center. Okay, so check in with yourself. Chin coming down towards the base of the throat. I'm going to take the chin now to the other side. So along the other collarbone, noticing your neck. Don't force your neck, just let it participate. Eyes are going to look down that arm. So I'm not looking behind the shoulder, just down the arm. And then I'm going to bring the chin back to center. Interlock your hands behind your head. Elbows will be out to the sides. Imagine you have a very tight swim cap on. Pull the base of that swim cap at the back of your skull forward. So don't push down on your head, pull forward. Now soften your elbows in, which will add a little bit of weight. So be careful with that. Be mindful. You're not pulling the skull forward, feeling that you're flexing the neck deeply and that you'll get a stretch down through the top of the shoulder blades even, and sometimes middle of shoulder blades. And then release the hands. Scrape the chin up the throat and bring the head back up. We're going to try to find a level head. Yeah. So for a lot of us, if you take your pointer finger and you find the top of your throat and you pull up into your throat with your finger, that will move your jaw typically back and give you what we call back neck long. So that's where we want to be with the head. Now, feel free to change your leg position again. So I'm going to give you a right hand down towards the ground. Yep. And then we're going to bend the left ear towards the left shoulder. You can sit any way you want. You can even be up on a chair. Now really make sure it's lateral, so it's ear. Right? I'm really bringing the ear down towards the left shoulder, and I'm going to push the right hand down a little bit. The more I drop this right shoulder down, I depress the right shoulder blade, the more elongation I'm giving to myself in this lateral or side neck. Okay, so very carefully, because this is a side bend now, we're going to twist it. We're going to draw the eyes down towards sort of the left knee. Now, so you're side bending with a twist. Push the right hand downwards a little bit. And then try to find that side bend with your neck again. Yeah. And then bring the head to center. Release the energy of the right arm. Take that left arm, push it downwards. Bend your right ear towards your right shoulder. And I want you to continue, I urge you to continue noting. What am I feeling? What is arising? Notice the different sensations. It could be heat, coolness, buzzing, discomfort, happiness in an area of the body, right? Tension, whatever the wording is. The wording's not really important. The noting is what's important. Draw the chin towards the right side. So you're looking towards the right knee and really push the left arm downwards. We're stretching these lateral muscles, the muscles of the lateral neck, many of which attach to the shoulder blade. Neck and shoulder have a lot of common geography. And then ear over to the shoulder again. Yeah. And then bring that head up. Good. All right, I'm going to meet you on all fours. And I'll just keep repeating this. I say it in my classes regularly, but be tender with yourself, be sensitive with yourself, do what you need to do for yourself. Stay with your breath. And if there's something that we're doing that feels just not quite right for you tonight, wait it out, do something else. I want you to press your hands down, press your knees and the tops of your feet down. If your wrists get very, very tired, you can do this on your forearms. That would be fine. You're going to start at your tailbone. You're going to tuck your tailbone under more than it already is. Tuck your pelvis under. Begin to move through the vertebra above the top of your pelvis, your lumbar vertebra. You're rounding those up towards the sky. Come into the bottom rib cage. Start rolling up from your bottom rib cage. Slacken your jaw here. Breathe between the shoulder blades. Lift up between the shoulder blades, broadening your upper back. Tuck your chin deeply into the base of your throat. Pause there. Notice. What feels long? What feels short? Does anything feel warmer or cooler? Does one side feel different than the other? Start at your tailbone. Begin to lift it up towards the sky. Arch your pelvis forward towards your legs. Start to move through your lumbar, your lower back spine, the 5 ginormous vertebral bodies in your lower back between the top of your pelvis and the bottom of your ribs. Move from the bottom of the ribs. Where's your breath? Lift your chest. Even lift the crown of the head until the eyes are forward. Watch the tendency to go forward, chin here. Pause and notice. And if you need to take a break from your wrist, do so. I'm going to have you do that one more time. So you're going to really get your pelvis to roll under. Move up vertebra by vertebra. Bring your attention to all these different spinal bones, right? Even spinal bones can be amazing and can really allow our attention to draw inwards. Once there in that deeply rounded position with your chin tucked, no rush to get there, pause for a moment and just be there. And then again, start at your tailbone and start to arch and lift and draw upwards. Yeah, so you're coming into an extension where the front body gets long and the back body gets short. And again, pay attention. What are you feeling? Where are you feeling? Good. All right, you're going to come back to center, curl your toes. Now, those of you who do downward dog, go ahead into downward dog. If downward dog feels onerous to you, too much for the shoulders or the arms, come to a wall, a piece of furniture, or your chair, and we'll do half standing forward bend instead. No? So think about your shoulders, your elbows. Don't worry about straightening your legs. Your legs, your knees can be bent. That's fine. And breathe. Can you find your belly? Can you find the movement of breath in the abdomen? Can you find the movement of breath across the back of your abdomen? Good. Bring your knees down to the floor. Separate your knees and bring your big toes together. Settle your buttock back towards your heels. And then move your forearms and your arms forward and out, or fold your forearms in and see if you can rest your head downwards. Now, if your head doesn't come to the ground, I'd really like you to bring something underneath your forehead so that your head is resting. And tuck your chin a little bit. You'll notice that you may round your back a little bit. That's fine. Feel it. If this is uncomfortable for you, I'll demo. I'm going to come onto my back, do the same pose, pulling my knees into my chest on my back. So when I do this on my back, I require my knee to be loaded a lot less. There's not as much pressure in the knee or the ankle. Regardless of whether you are in that Mandukasana, that child's pose with your knees open, or you're on your back with your knees coming up towards your armpits, I want you to breathe across the back of your pelvis. Imagine that you could fill the sacral bone, the bone in the middle of your back pelvis. You could fill that with air like a balloon. Breathing into the back of your pelvis from the inside. When you exhale, no tightening, just letting go. All right. Beautiful. Walk your hands in. I'm going to meet you on your back. And I would suggest that a lot of you have a blanket folded underneath your head. That's for comfort. It's also to keep your back neck long, but you don't have to. If you have a yoga block, grab it. If you don't have a yoga block, you could use anything that weighs something light. You know, a yoga block is pretty light. So it could be a blanket over your abdomen. It could be a pillow. If you can train your bunny or your cat in the room with you to get on your belly and stay there, good luck. And I'm going to take my block and put it so that it kind of touches the area between my navel and pubic bone. So it's on my lowest part of my belly. I just want to give so when we work on breath, just give a little bit of a hint about breath. When we work on breath, we can actually work our nervous system into being overtaxed, right? To coming into a fight or flight. So what I want you to do with your breath is not do too much. Some of you work with breath on a really regular basis, others don't. So if you find yourself getting short of breath, or you find yourself holding and not being able to take the next breath, I just want you to work on even, gentle breaths. Let your arms relax. Let your feet be on the floor. Notice your back, neck, soften your jaw. With your mouth relaxed, see if you can breathe through the nose and take an inhale breath. And then move gently into your exhale breath. And in the exhale breath, can you work on not tightening, just letting go? You can close the eyes if you like. The block or whatever you have on your lower abdomen is floating with the breath. So once you are aware of the inhale and exhale, Once you have a depth that feels pretty comfortable for you, that's not overtaxing. Once you make sure the mouth is very relaxed and the eyes are dropping back, begin to notice the movement of the block on your lower abdomen. Is there any movement? When our nervous systems are taxed, we're in fight or flight or freeze, we tend to do apical breathing. We tend to do breathing in the chest only, sometimes sort of from the middle of our chest up only. So can you just concentrate in the next couple minutes? And I'm going to be quiet so you can do it. Can you just concentrate on moving the block with your breath so that we're moving very deep within the system of breathing? We're requiring the abdominal wall to expand with the inhale and soften with the exhale. Again, if you feel it all squirrely, feel it all like I really need to move, that's fine. Note it. Right now, can I focus on moving this block with my breath? Right here, right now. What can you feel in the body? Can you name it in terms that are not good, bad, or right or wrong? The skin of my belly feels warm underneath the yoga block. There is pressure on the outer rim of my left sacrum. The fingers are curled. The palm is soft. Whatever it is, noting moment to moment. If you've been doing this breathing exercise with the eyes closed, gently open your eyes. We're going to remove the block from the abdomen. Move slowly. And using your hands, draw the back of your right leg into your chest. Yep, so hands on the back of the right leg and draw that right leg into your chest so you're in hip flexion at your right hip. Begin to slowly circle your right foot around the two lower leg bones, your tibia and your fibula. And I'd like you to slowly circle that foot and imagine that that foot is the most amazing thing you've ever seen, felt, experienced as it moves, as though you've never felt a foot circle. Can I be mesmerized? Can I be amazed? Can I be interested in the circling of that foot around the lower leg bones? Wherever you are in the circle, go the other direction, nice and slow. You all know I have a granddaughter now who's 3 months old. And she's starting to see the world, like quite literally. Follow noise. Be completely taken with or mesmerized by something new or something she doesn't even know is hers, like her feet. Can I bring some of that awareness to this very gentle and kind of compulsory movement? And then flex your foot back towards your shin in dorsiflexion and point your toes away from you in plantar flexion. And when you stretch the foot back in dorsiflexion, try to spread your toes and then push through gently to the point. Now you're going to do just a couple more. You're going to pull back into dorsiflexion. And again, note, is there any heat in the front of your shin bone? Right? Are your toes at all uncomfortable as you ask them to move in ways they might not like to move? Then I'm going to just relax my foot and let up a little bit on the pull in with my hands and gently lengthen my leg up to the sky into Supta Padangusthasana. I am absolutely not opposed to you putting a belt over the bottom of your foot and doing the sort of the Iyengar yoga way of doing Supta Padangusthasana with a belt over the bottom of your foot. I'm going to maintain this with my hands on the back of my leg. Now, notice what happens. And go ahead and try this. When you lengthen your left leg out, what happens in your lumbosacral, so the back of your pelvis and your lower back? What happens to the leg, the right leg that's up in the air when you lengthen your left leg out? Does it move away from your body? Is there more strain in the back of that leg? And then make a decision based on what feels best for you right here, right now. And maybe you'll decide to bend the left knee and put the left foot on the ground. As we're here, some of you may experience a lack of knee extension. You may not be able to fully straighten the leg. That's okay. And then I want you from your ankle to point your toes gently and notice what happens. Really bring your awareness into your toes, the top of your foot, the front of your ankle, and the front of your shin bone. If you're really pointing that foot, be careful because you could cramp. You may be feeling a stretch activity over or down the front of your shin. And then pull your toes back and dorsiflex the ankle, pushing your heel up towards the sky. And notice what you feel not only at the top of the foot and the shin bone again, but at the back of that lower leg through the Achilles tendon and down into the heel. Notice what's happening right now in my right leg, at my right ankle, at my right toes, at my right shin, at my right knee, at my right hamstring. All right, leave your leg up, release the arms. Point your toes. If your leg is straight, if your left leg is straight, just be mindful of this in your lower back. And then very slowly lower that right leg down on the ground. If your left leg is bent, go ahead and stretch it out long. Separate your feet on your mat. And then windshield wiper your straight legs side to side. Yeah, so my heels are on the ground and I'm just going right, left, right, left. I could also go in and out. Depends on where your windshield wipers are and what vehicle. Just letting your legs rotate in the sockets. Yeah, nice and loose. Okay. And then bend your knees and bring your feet to the floor. Readjust your pelvis, readjust your ribs. Take a moment and find your breathing again. Find your inhale and your exhale. Imagine that block on your belly. Can you breathe down into the depth so that your belly moves, your abdominal wall expands with the inhale? And then lift your left leg into your chest, holding with your hands on the back of that left leg. If you want at any time to straighten your right leg, you can, but we are going to now make those same foot circles. And try to really notice that foot moving as the most amazing thing that you could focus on. right? This activity of being able to tell your foot to make a circle, something we could maybe take for granted, but to even know that's your foot took a tremendous amount, months of development. Be amazed at the miracle. And then slowly go in the other direction. So big circles. Yeah. Finding your breath, continuing to breathe. Notice when you're holding the breath. Notice where there's tension in the body, and tension in the body is okay. Like right now, my arms are working to hold my leg towards my chest. There's some contraction in the shoulders, there's some contraction around the elbows. Yeah. My foot circling, there's contraction and length, right? There's shortening and lengthening. All right. And then I'm going to dorsiflex. I'm pulling the top of my foot back towards my shin. And then I'm going to point my ankle, which is called plantar flexion, and point through my toes. And so as you do this ankle action, start to spread the toes when you pull the top of the foot back and point the toes and kind of bring them together when you point that ankle. And again, going nice and slowly. Nice and gentle. What's it feel like in the front of that left shin? What's it feel like on your left heel, Achilles tendon, calf muscles? What's it feel like in your toes? And again, the noting is less about good, bad, right, or wrong. All right, I'm going to relax the foot and I'm going to take the leg into length, moving it away from me a little bit. Again, feel free to use your yoga belt. That's fine. At this point, if your right leg, we should go ahead and straighten the right leg out. We did it on the other side, and just notice when you straighten the right leg out, what happens in the back of your pelvis, what happens to the back of the left leg. Is it more comfortable for you to have the right leg bent, right? There's not a right or a wrong to this. It's about figuring out what I need right here, right now. Yeah. And then point the toes. So point the ankle really strongly and feel the stretch sensation, the lengthening, which could actually feel like a little bit of tightness in the front of your shin, the front of your ankle, and over the top of your foot. These muscles are stretching, these tissues are stretching. And then push the heel up to the sky and pull the top of the foot back into dorsiflexion, and feel and notice that there now may be more sensation in the back compartment of the leg and even into the hamstring, the back of that Achilles tendon area, across the ball of your foot or the bottom of your foot. All right. Point the toes, take your arms out. And if it feels okay for you to lower this left leg down with control, go ahead and do that. Okay, I'm going to have you bend your knees and bring your feet wide on your yoga mat. If you have room to make the letter T with your arms, do so. And then take your legs to the right. So you're going to go internal rotation of your left thigh, external rotation of your right leg. Pull back through the left shoulder a little bit. And then roll through the feet. If you were going to prescribe a breath to this, inhale. And as you exhale, drop the legs to the left slowly, rolling the right inner foot and the outer left foot. Pull back in that right shoulder and arm a little bit. And then inhale, roll to the feet. My tempo might be too slow. It might be too fast for you. Slow exhale, let your legs move to the right. Now, if my prescribed breath isn't working for you, feel free to do what is most natural for you. We're going to do this a few more times. So rolling through the feet, I'm inhaling as I bring the legs up, and I'm exhaling as I bring the legs over. That's organic for my body, may not be for yours. And keep noticing. Where do I feel this? What are the sensations? Warmth, cold, tingling, vibrating, tightness. Tightness is not always a bad thing. Looseness. asymmetry, resistance. Super slow. Taking the legs over to one side, pulling back in the opposite side shoulder a little bit. All right. When you bring your legs back on up, bring your feet in a little bit, roll to one side. You're going to bring yourself all the way up, and we're going to come all the way up to standing. And now would be the time to get your yoga belt, a big towel, or if you have a stretchy band, you could use the stretchy band. That would be fine. So I'm going to meet you standing, and we're going to stand on our own 2 feet, and we're going to feel the power of standing on our own 2 feet, that balance. Yep. And as I stand on my own 2 feet, I'm going to find a width of my feet that is comfortable for me. Yep. So I'm going to find in whatever I'm using here between my hands, I'm going to find a distance that's going to feel good for me at the top. And for some of you, that will be a little wider. And for some of you, it may be a little narrow. If you are using a stretchy band, you want to keep tension on the stretchy band the whole time, right? But it could be a yoga belt. It could also just be a towel because you don't have a yoga belt or a stretchy band. Find your feet, stand on the tripod of your feet. And first, let's make sure we're breathing all the way down into the lower abdomen, right? This chest breathing, let's bring it down here. And then very slowly raise and lift your arms up. It's going to be more of a V. Yeah. And then slowly bring the arms back down. Yeah. Now, when the arms come back down, you may adjust. You may bring your hands in a little bit or out a little bit and bring the arms up. And when I say bring the arms up, note that I didn't say how far up they had to come. So what does it feel like to you? Yeah. And then press and draw the belt back down. We're going to do that about 6 more times, maybe too many. Nice and slow. We're going to move really slowly up and really slowly down. Down is pretty easy for most of us because we can just drop into gravity. So as you come back down, keep that same sort of resistance as though you were having to resist gravity to come down. So you're using the shoulder. But keep listening to your shoulder and notice what happens to your neck, to the placement of your head, to your lower back. Try not to thrust your ribs forward when the arms come up. And again, mind wanders, perfectly natural. Emotion arises, perfectly natural. Happens to us all the time, every day, regardless of the day. Can I come back to my breathing? Maybe I need to be still for a moment even. Can I come back to what it is I'm experiencing in this moment in my body? Okay. Next time you come down, we're going to narrow the hands and bring them behind our body. The palm will face outwards, backwards, right? So the back of my hand is facing my buttock. Then arms are pretty narrow. I'm going to keep my ribs above my pelvis. If I've got a stretchy band, I'm going to keep some tension on it. If I've got a yoga belt, keep some tension on it. Wrists stay long, and I'm going to take the arms up behind me. And then back down. And you can see how nature, the way that we are built, does not allow for those arms to come all the way up by your head for most shoulder joints. So notice the limitation. Limitation not as a negative, but just that quite naturally the tissues of the shoulder don't allow us, unless there's rotation, to come back over the top. And the miracle that is, since everything that we do out in front in our lives pretty much is out in front of us using tools. Yeah, couple more. So we evolved to be able to see what we were doing and have those arms out in front of us using a variety of tools. Yeah, don't push past what is comfortable for you. Yeah, good. Okay, nicely done. I'm going to take my belt over my right shoulder, get my feet standing underneath me. I'm on top of them. Bring my right arm out. Yeah. Right here at the top of the arm bone, I'm going to internally rotate. So that's going to turn my hand backwards from here. You have to do that a couple times. Rotate it. Yeah, mine's making a little bit of a sound. Just notice again. Wow, my shoulder's making a little bit of sound. I didn't expect that. I'm going to keep it internally rotated. Now I'm going to sweep it behind me. I'm going to actually turn my back to you. Sweep it behind me. Bend the elbow in and try to take it up towards my shoulder blade as much as possible. I may find the end of the belt. Now, this internal rotation with the bend of the elbow puts a lot of load in the front of the shoulder. So maybe your right arm has to be lower. Yep, don't overdo. Now take your left arm up. Yep. And the left arm is going to externally rotate. So the palm turns in towards my head, and do that a few times. Yep. So it's really right here. It's the ball of the arm at the shoulder. External rotation. Keep that externally rotated. Bring it in and reach it back. And see if, some of you will be able to grab your fingers, that's fine. But mostly see if you can get the hands somewhat close. And then notice that this left elbow will start to try to go out to the side. And remember, we had a very strong external rotation in that left arm bone. So the inner arm comes closer to my head. And then breathe and notice what's your head doing. Yeah, does it tend to go forward in the chin? Can you go back, neck, long? Good. Okay. Release the arms. Move them around a little bit. It's a lot of rotation in that upper arm. Yeah. And then I'll take the band over, or my belt over the left. I may not need it. That's fine. I'll take my left arm out, and just to make life even, right? I'm going to internally rotate it several times. So I get that motion. Yeah, you're not doing this with your legs. I just came closer to the camera. Internal rotation. Yeah. And then I'm going to internally rotate it. I'm going to sweep it back, because if I don't, what's going to happen is my elbow is going to be out here, and I want this arm to be tucked behind me as much as I possibly can before I start working with that right arm. Right arm comes out. Yeah. We're going to externally rotate it. I think we did that with the arm up. Sorry, externally rotate. So external rotation turns the palm in. I know that's a little confusing, but the arm ball, the ball at the top of the arm, is rolling away from my ear. Yep. And then I'll bend the elbow. So the goal is not to get the hands together at the cost of the elbows being like this. The goal is, if we have a goal, is to bring the arms in very close to the sides of the body and find the rotation in the upper arm. And you may need to back off of this if you've got something going on in the shoulder. And once you're here, we hold it for a few moments, and we breathe, and we note thoughts arising, heart rate quickening, belly expanding with the breath. Note the bottoms of your feet. Okay, release your arms. Well done. I'm going to put the band down. I'm going to open my feet a little bit. They're still parallel. I'm going to sit back and down into a squat. Yep. So in a very parallel, narrow leg position, I'm going to sit back and down into a squat. Got it? Super. Good. If I can, I'm going to lift my left foot off the ground and then put my left foot back down. And then I'm going to lift my right foot off the ground and put my right foot down. Now notice how you may be hip hiking to do that. Can I stay really low and do as little motion in my pelvis and even as little motion swaying as possible? Yeah, I'm just going side to side. It's a little bit of a balance thing. And of course, we know that we could be next to something if we feel like there's fall risk involved in this. Yeah, helping us stabilize and steady. Okay. Stand on up, fully extend your knees so your knees are fully extended, so the muscles over the kneecaps are activated. Push the feet downwards into the floor. Good. All right. Some of you are going to want to have your pelvis or your butt against a wall for balance. Yeah. Some of you may find that you're fine in the middle of the room, but you just want to have your hand on something for balance. That's fine. And some of you will find that you're fine without anything to balance, but we will be standing on one leg in Garudasana. I'm going to let my knees bend forward, sit myself back in a squat. Yeah, I'm going to stand onto my right leg and cross my left leg. I'm going to bring my left toes in towards the shin. I'm going to sit down a little further if I can. So I can have my hand on something. I can have my pelvis back. Yep. Good. That's it. Now, if you'd like to add something, we're going to bring the arms up and down like wings. Wait, that's not the way we normally do Garudasana. I know. It's usually super static. We get the arms into a position and we hold and hope for the best. By waving the arms, even if it's one arm, because you're using your hand on something, yeah, we're asking for a dynamic activity above a static hold. Yeah, good. All right. Stand on up. Nothing like balancing to keep your mind focused. Here we go. Sit into a little Utkatasana. I'm going to take my weight onto my left leg. I'm going to cross my right leg, bring my baby toes in. I'm going to sit down a little further. Maybe I have my hand on something. Yeah, maybe I have my sacrum against a wall. And then I'm going to flap my wings. Yeah. Moving my arms up and down in this abduction to flexion pattern. And when the arms are moving, it makes the balance quite dynamic in some respects because I'm having to stay balanced. All part of my body is moving off the center line. Okay, good. Nice. Put that foot down. I'm going to meet you down on the floor again. We're coming back to Garudasana standing in a moment. You may again want a blanket underneath your head. Come on down to the floor. Find your breath. All right, exactly what we just did. Cross your left leg over your right at the knees. Up. Pull your left toes toward your right shin bone, outer right shin bone. If you need to leave your legs on the ground, do so. Can you pull your thighs into your chest, into a deep hip flexion, and keep them really pulled in? So you should feel tops of quadriceps, hip flexors, lower abs. Okay, with the work there, find your breath. And then if it's comfortable for you, glide your right arm underneath your left arm. So you're crossing your elbows and interlock your forearms or just bring your forearms together. And as you do that, can you bring your knees and your elbows towards one another while leaving your head on the ground? Let me take a look. So basically you're in Garudasana right now, but you're on the ground. Keep your head on the ground. Drive your thighs in towards your chest. Drive your elbows down towards your thighs. Some people's will touch. Other people's won't. That's fine. And feel how your shoulder blades have separated. And then just take a moment here and note, where's my breath? What part of my body is on the floor? What part of my body is strongly contracted? What part of my body? And you don't have to know the names of the body parts. And what part of my body is more elongated? All right, good. Relax. Open your arms, put your feet on the ground. Fully release the back body for a moment. Take a couple breaths. Can you float that block on your belly like we did earlier? Okay. As you're ready, cross your right leg over your left. Drive your thighs in toward your chest. Strong, strong flexion. No? If you don't like that, put your feet back down on the ground. Take your left arm underneath your right arm. See if you can interlock your forearms. Now, really flex your knees towards your chest and your elbows towards your knees. Notice how the tissues in the front lower abdomen, around your front ribs, in the fronts of your shoulders and your chest, how they shorten. Yep, they shorten, they flex to bring your elbows and your knees together. So while you hold this quite dynamic position, can you breathe? And can you note? All right. Go ahead and release that. Take your arms out, take your feet down. And let's just go back to what we did at the beginning of class, nearer the beginning of class. Let your legs go to one side. This time, however, turn your head as deeply away from the legs as is comfortable for you. And then roll through the feet and take your legs to the other side. Move slowly and turn your head as far away from the legs as is comfortable for you. Never force the neck. And then again, legs come up and over as your head turns to the opposite direction of the legs. And one more time. Knees up, legs over, head turns away. Good. All right. I'm going to meet you back up and standing. So roll to your side and bring yourself up. So first things first, I want to just give you a version for those of you who are right now not wanting to really try the balance on one leg. You can do Garudasana sitting on a chair. Yep. And the rest of us are going to try balancing. So the balance could, again, be against a wall. You may find that you need to have a hand on something, so only one of your arms will be into the center in Garudasana, but I want you to do what works for you. So I've got my feet set. I'm going to bend my knees a little bit. Shift my weight onto the right leg. So if I'm sitting, my right foot stays on the ground. I'm going to cross my left leg over. Bring it in tight. Yeah, good. Now, if I have both arms available to me, I'm going to bring my right arm underneath my left arm. If I only have one arm available to me, bring the arm that is available into center. Yeah, good. A little unlike what we did on the floor, we're not getting as much contraction as we did when we were lying on the floor on our back, right? So we're a little more upright in our trunk. But I am pulling elbows down a little bit and I'm dropping my bum a little bit. So I'm in a squat. Yeah. And then come to standing. Relax your arms. Find your breath. Good. Well, I hope you've all been to places where you've actually gotten to see eagles flying and landing and doing their thing. They're pretty phenomenal birds. All right, here we go. They're majestic. They're powerful. I've also seen them be very playful. And on the coast of Oregon, you're going to stand on your left leg, cross your right leg, sit down into that. If you can, left arm will come underneath right. If that's not available to you, you'll bring whatever arm is available in towards center. Yep. That's it. Steadiness and evenness, steadiness and evenness, steadiness and evenness. Noting and breathing, noting and breathing. Good. And then gently release that. Okay. Those of you using the chair, dog pose on the chair. Those of you who would like to go to the floor, dog pose on the floor. Mainly, I want to get some length again in my knees, some weight in my feet, and some length through the back body, and some length through the front body. Pelvis is still, hips are still flexed with the pelvis coming forward. But instead of thighs coming up towards the chest as they did in eagle pose, right? My pelvis is rolling forward over the thighs. Where do I feel this? What's the nature of the feeling, of the sensation? Noting, coming back to the breath. All right. And bring yourself in. Okay. Stand for a moment in Tadasana. Root the feet. Find your collarbones. Find your neck, which we started with. Find your jaw, which we started with. Good. All right. I'm going to use the chair and put my lower legs up the chair. You could do straight legs up the wall. You could also bring yourself into a shavasana with something behind your knees. Make sure you're warm enough and do yourself a favor, even though it is quite dark outside at this time of night. If you can, cover your eyes. I'll tell you at the end of this class, I will bring you up to sitting, but I want you to feel free to stay for as long as you can, as long as you're willing in your shavasana. So for me, I'm going to take my lower legs up on the chair. And I would, if I were continuing to do this, I would also have something under the backside of my head. Yeah. And adjust myself. But everybody's going to take a position that works for them. You may find that you want your hands on your abdomen. It brings it in a little closer to home. It brings it in a little closer to being centered. If it feels okay for you, you can let your arms come out to the side. Mostly, I want you to find what is really okay for you. So many of you actually have a deeper and longer history with a regular meditation practice than I do. But the way that we practice metta meditation, loving kindness meditation, is to silently, or you could even say it, do it out loud, is to silently or gently, quietly out loud to yourself, repeat the phrases. And we go from a very specific I, and then we send the messages out to you. And when I send out to may you, I try to picture in my brain, in myself, someone that I really truly want to send the message to. Could be somebody I'm having a hard time with, but don't choose the hardest one. You don't have to choose the hardest person to send that out to, or the hardest group. And then we move to we, and then we'll move to all beings. And this will be slow. The phrasing is sometimes different depending on who's leading. But the message is about feeling safe, moving towards peace, not suffering, and extending loving kindness to the world and ourselves. Close your eyes, relax your jaw. Find your breath. Feel the expansiveness of your abdomen. May I feel safe. May I experience contentment. May I be free from suffering. And may I be filled with loving kindness. May I feel safe. May I experience contentment. May I be free from suffering. And may I be filled with loving kindness. May you feel safe. May you experience contentment, peace. May you be free from suffering. And may you be filled with loving kindness. May you feel safe. May you experience contentment. May you be free from suffering. And may you be filled with loving kindness. May we be safe. May we experience contentment, peace. May we be free from suffering. And may we be filled with loving kindness. May we feel safe. May we experience contentment. May we be free from suffering. May we be filled with loving kindness. May all beings feel safe. May all beings experience contentment, peace. May all beings be free from suffering. May all beings be filled with loving kindness. May all beings feel safe. May all beings experience contentment. May all beings be free from suffering. And may all beings be filled with loving kindness. I want to invite you to stay in an extended shavasana. Or to gently begin to come out of the position you're in, rolling to your side. And gradually making your way up to sitting. No rush, no need to do that either. And if you've come to sitting, let your palms come to your heart. And bow your head forward to the heart. May all beings feel safe. May all beings experience contentment. May all beings be free from suffering. And may all beings be filled with loving kindness. If you're sitting with me, bring your head lightly up, eyes closed, jaw soft. Check in, noting, noticing, breathing. Holding one another in love, in gratitude, in grace. Namaste.